Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1. Let's go, there's no rush if it's later. Hey, why are you in such a hurry? Really, don't you know, there is a guy in front who claims to spend 100 million to make a movie, and he is currently recruiting actors. What? There is such a thing? No, I have to join in the fun. Baixia Town, the town of art, the town of drama. There are more than 10,000 people in the town, and 1/10 of them are engaged in drama or comedy-related industries. Everyone among them hopes to use their performance to bring laughter to others, and at the same time earn an income for themselves. Nami came to this town based on a coincidence. Because she wanted to avoid the pirates who had been betrayed by her, she put down the lifeboat by herself, and took advantage of the dark night to wash away all the treasures of the pirate ship. Later, she came to this island by virtue of her navigation skills. Not long after she came to the island, she heard heated discussions about recruiting actors. 100 million. Those guys just said 100 million. Nami's eyes widened in surprise. 100 million, make a movie? No, I have to go and see. Nami quickened his pace and ran towards the place where the crowd gathered. Everyone is welcome. If you want to audition for a role, please sign up there. After that, I will arrange for everyone to audition one by one. On a makeshift platform, Li Fan said loudly. Beside him stood a green-haired three-sword swordsman. Hey! Fortunately, some people were hired in advance, otherwise just recruiting actors would be enough. Looking at the large crowd below, Li Fan shook his head. System, open my panel. Following Li Fan's voice, a panel that only he can see appeared before his eyes. Name, Li Fan. Age, 25. Bronze script, Fata Stay Night. Fund, 100 million berry. Li Fan nodded, and then looked at the temporary abilities displayed in the lower right corner of the panel. Servant Emi Yashiro, Servant Sasaki Kojiro, Servant Gilgamesh. Hey, have you temporarily obtained the abilities of all the servants who appeared in the play? In this case, it is definitely possible for me to play a certain role. However, as expected, it would be better to play Emi Yashiro as the protagonist. In this way, people will remember me more deeply. If Emi Yashiro can act well and win the evaluation of the best actor, maybe he can also learn Emi Yashiro's projection magic, and even get his inherent enchantment. Perhaps, I can also play two roles in the script at the same time. After all, Emi Yashiro and Red A are considered to be the same person. If you put on makeup, it shouldn't show your secrets. Speaking of which, when I came to this pirate world, I was given such a big director system. Is it to let me embark on the road of entertainment? That's right, Li Fan is not from this world. He came from the earth before, and came to this pirate world for some reason. After coming here, Li Fan got a cheat called Great Director System. As long as Li Fan shoots the scripts obtained from the system, Li Fan will have a chance to get rewards. As long as the box office meets the requirements within the release period stipulated by the system, Li Fan, as the director, can obtain an item or ability in a script. In addition, the best actor in the play also has a probability of obtaining an item or ability from the character he plays. As the owner of the system, you can obtain the abilities or items obtained by the best actors. However, if the actor played by Li Fan in the play wins the best actor achievement, Li Fan will not only get an item or ability from the character, he can also get an additional item or ability from the randomly selected script. Rewards. As a novice benefit, Li Fan got a script for free, which is the bronze level script Fata Stay Night, a fee of 100 million berry, and the abilities of all the servants who participated in the battle during the filming of the first movie. This ability can be regarded as a relief for Li Fan. After all, the world he is in now is the world of pirates. If you don't have this ability, if a pirate or something comes during the filming, it will be enough for Li Fan to eat a pot. Pirate, the pirate is here, run! Help, the pirates have landed! Quick, hurry up and notify the militiamen in the town. Suddenly, loud shouts erupted from behind the crowd. Pirates! Li Fan looked behind the crowd. Are the pirates coming at this time? This is not okay, I can't let you threaten my actors. Also, I can't let them hold me back from filming. Li Fan looked at Zoro, the three swordsmen beside him, and said. Actor Zoro, stay here and don't run around, lest I wait a while and look for you again. What do you guys mean, are you saying I'm going to get lost? You're pretty smart, I mean exactly that. Damn it, I cut you off. Li Fan waved his hand, jumped off the stage, and walked in the opposite direction of the crowd. Hey, can I help? Zoro called. No need, I'm enough alone. The corners of Li Fan's mouth curled up slightly, you should know my ability, right? Chapter 2. Hearing Li Fan's words, Zoro nodded. Zoro met Li Fan in this town because he got lost. At that time, Li Fan was worrying about how to find a suitable actor with a bag containing 100 million berry. After seeing Zoro with a hungry face, Li Fan immediately invited him to participate in his movie. After treating Zoro to a meal and fighting him with swordsmanship, Zoro readily accepted Li Fan's invitation. The premise is that after filming, Li Fan has to seriously fight Zoro once. Pirates! Could it be the pirates I betrayed before? Thought Nami, frowning in the crowd. The pirate captain on that pirate ship is offering a reward of 10 million berry, so that guy will be fine if he goes there like this. Although he wanted to escape, Nami, who was worried about the bag Li Fan was carrying behind him, still ran towards Li Fan's direction. In that bag, his money must be contained, and the money cannot be allowed to fall into the hands of those pirates. On the other side, the pirate who just landed is running towards the town quickly. Damn it, I met that white hunter smoker, isn't that guy stationed in Logue Town? How did he come here? The pirate captain said fiercely. Boss, what should we do next? Our ship has been penetrated by those nasty marines. Yes, boss, there's white hunter behind him, think of a way, captain. Shut up, you cowards, the pirate captain shouted loudly, did you see the town ahead? We speed up our attack on this small town, when the time comes, these townspeople will be our hostages. Those marines absolutely dare not attack us. The pirate captain's words immediately ignited the hopes of the pirates, and they ran towards the town with all their might. Hey, I want to take the people of this town as hostages. There may be some important actors of mine in there, but I can't let you mess around. Li Fan pulled out his long knife and appeared in the sea at an extremely fast speed. Beside the captain of the thief. So, please go to die. Puff. A stream of blood flew out from the neck of the pirate captain. He didn't even see when there was another person beside him, but Li Fan had already chopped off his head. The ship, the captain is dead. How is it possible? The captain is offering a reward of 10 million pirates. Who is that man with the knife? The pirates stared wide-eyed, and all stopped to look at Li Fan who stood in front of them. 10 million? Well, it can be used to pay for future filming. Li Fan nodded, then, next, it's up to you. As soon as the words fell, Li Fan's figure disappeared from the eyes of the pirates. With their dynamic eyesight, they couldn't detect Li Fan's movement at all. Almost instantly, more than 20 pirates all fell under Li Fan's sword. Okay, so amazing. The pirate who could break a boulder with one blow was killed so easily. Nami, who was following behind Li Fan, thought in surprise. Not only was Nami surprised, but Tashiji, who was looking through a telescope on the sea not far away, was also very surprised. What a powerful swordsman, he killed all the pirates in an instant. Colonel Smoker, the pirate we are chasing, has been beheaded by a swordsman. I heard. Smoker waved his hand. Anyway, let's log in first. That man seems to be waiting for us. Under the full speed of the warship, Smoker and his party soon came to the shore. Smoker and Tashiji jumped off the warship and walked up to Li Fan. You. Well, hello, I'm Marine Sergeant Tashiji, nice to meet you. Smoker just started to speak, but was interrupted by Tashiji excitedly. I saw the sword technique you used just now, it's really amazing. Well, I have a merciless request. Can you, let me see your sword? My sword? Li Fan looked at the long knife Wugongan in his hand, which is also the saber of the character in the script, Sasaki Kojiro. It's not impossible, but you have to promise me one condition. Yet. As long as it doesn't violate Marine's justice, I can promise you. Very good, then, you come to be my actor. With your quality, I believe you can be qualified for a role in my script. Hey, actor. Tashiji blinked. Well, I don't know how to act. It's okay, I believe my vision, you must have the quality of acting, just need a little practice, you are definitely a shining star in the movie. Li Fan took Tashiji's hand and said seriously. Chapter 3. Hey, we are Marine, we have very busy official duties, and we don't have time to act with you. A calm voice suddenly came. Li Fan looked up, and saw a tall man with white hair and 2 cigars walking over. Smoker, nicknamed the White Hunter, is an existence feared by East Blue pirates. The reason why he is feared by pirates stems from Smoker's exaggerated record. Since he took office in Logue Town, no pirate has been able to go to the Grand Line through this town of beginning and end. Over time, many pirates didn't even dare to go to Logue Town anymore, and just squatted here and sailed in East Blue. Slowly, the number of pirates gathered in East Blue increased. After all, East Blue, not all Marines are as powerful as Smoker, able to arrest pirates efficiently. Not to mention, many Marines in East Blue have been corrupted, and they even joined forces with pirates to harm ordinary people. Don't say that, Marine. Li Fan patted Smoker on the shoulder with a familiar face. By the way, you are really tall and have a strong body, why don't you come play a role with me? Looking at Smoker, Li Fan directly decided him to play the role of the Berserker Hercules. Although the height of Smoker is still much lower than that of Hercules, Li Fan believes that this small problem can be solved as long as he uses the special effects technology of the system. Look, Marines are human too, and they need vacations too, don't they? So, why don't you just take a break and come to me to act? Of course, I will never treat you badly, such as remuneration. I heard that the head of the pirate I beheaded is worth 10 million berry. Take this as my reward to you. If you don't think it's enough, I still have berry here. With that said, Li Fan took off the backpack from behind and opened it in front of Smoker and Tashiji. The banknotes inside slowly came into their sight immediately. Okay, so much money, maybe 100 million berry. Tashiji widened his eyes slightly. 100 million berry. The Marine soldiers behind Tashiji and the others were equally surprised, as was Smoker. Although Marine often offers rewards of tens of millions or hundreds of millions to pirates, as a soldier, Marine's salary is not that high. Even Naval Headquarters Commodore may not necessarily have a monthly salary of 10 million berry. As Colonel Marine Smoker, his monthly salary is not even 5 million berry. This is why so many Marines are corrupt. This is enough to show how much money 100 million berry is to Smoker and others. Even so, Smoker has no intention of accepting Li Fan's invitation. Your money, you'd better keep it for yourself. The pirates have already dealt with it, so we should go back to Logue Town. About this guy's bounty, you can choose to come to Logue Town and I will send it to you. Of course, if you don't want to run, you can also choose a marine base nearby to collect the bounty. I'll give you a certificate. Hearing this, Li Fan couldn't help but raised his hand to his chin, thinking. In his opinion, to make a good movie, although an actor's excellent acting skills are indispensable, strong physical ability is also very important. For example, Sasaki Kojiro in the script, if someone who is not a swordsman is allowed to act, then there will definitely be many unsatisfactory aspects. That's why Li Fan hired Zoro, whom he met by chance. Zoro can just play the role of Kojiro Sasaki in the play. And Tashiji, in Li Fan's eyes, is the right candidate to play Artoria. Well, Comrade Marine, why don't I follow you back to Logue Town? After that, if you take some time off, how about coming to my place to film? Li Fan asked. No. I'm not interested in these things, you can find someone else. Smoker shook his head and refused verbally. It's embarrassing, obviously I have a lot of good swords here. Li Fan glanced at Tashiji at the side and said in a low voice. At the same time, Li Fan pulled out the long knife in his hand again. The sun shone on the long knife, reflecting the cold reflection. It's so beautiful. Tashiji's eyes lit up, and he immediately moved to Li Fan's side, then, can I see it? But, your boss won't let you be my actor. Li Fan looked puzzled. Smoker frowned. Tashiji, as a marine, you don't have that time, so go. Boom. A loud noise broke out suddenly, and Li Fan's other hand rolled up a gust of wind and waves. The strong wind rushed towards the sea, and directly swept in the pirates' boats docked on the shore. Not only that, but the penetrating hurricane swept across the waves, causing large waves to split directly. Wind King Hammer. Li Fan read slowly. Chapter 4. Tashiji and Smoker looked at Li Fan in surprise. Before he knew it, Li Fan already had a two-handed sword exuding golden light and filled with sacred aura. The blue hilt, the golden grid, and the silver blade are engraved with elves' runes. No matter from which angle you look at it, this is a very beautiful sword. The sword of the Oath of Victory, according to legend, the ancient hero, the sword of the King of Knights. Although the swordsmen in the world think that the Supreme Sword and the 12 skills are the best swords. But in my opinion, none of them can compare to this sword of sworn victory in my hand. What a pity, Ms. Marine, I originally wanted you to hold this sword to act, but now it seems that there is no such hope. Li Fan shook his head with a look of disappointment. This sword is very special. Moreover, this man is definitely not simple. Even if he is not a swordsman, Smoker can see the extraordinariness of the sword in Li Fan's hand. That strong kingly aura manifests its existence all the time. Tashiji couldn't help reaching out to touch the blade of the sword of Oath of Victory, but the next moment, it disappeared in Li Fan's hands. Also disappeared, and Thing Gan Gan. Forget it, since you guys don't agree to join my crew, then give me a certificate to hunt down pirates. After that, after I finish filming, I will go to Marine to collect the reward. As for the actors, I'd better explore in this town. Li Fan said with regret. After arriving in Logue Town, it's fine to take some free time to film with you. After pondering for a while, Smoker spoke. Get it done. Li Fan was delighted, but there was no expression on his face. He just deliberately showed Smoker the strength between the vowed victory. The sword can attract Tashiji, and the sword of the vowed victory smashes the pirate ship and cleaves the waves to get Smoker's attention. In East Blue, which is the weakest sea, there is a person like Li Fan. Presumably, Smoker would also like to observe more. And Li Fan intends to go to Logue Town, which is also in line with Smoker's wishes. The shrewd Smoker will not let go of such an opportunity to observe Li Fan without delaying his return flight. Of course, no problem. I believe that with your abilities, you will be able to finish the movie soon. Li Fan said confidently. With the assistance of the shooting equipment given by the system, plus I now have the ability of all servants. Li Fan believes that as long as the actors are not too stupid, the filming process will be fast. As for himself, Li Fan has absolute confidence in his acting skills. After all, when the Great Director system was started, it instilled in Li Fan all the skills related to acting, shooting, and other movies. It's not an exaggeration to say that if Li Fan returns to the previous world, he can't stop winning awards just because of his acting skills. Okay, I agree. Then, let's set sail for our return journey now. Smoker nodded, making up his mind. As Li Fan thought, Smoker really had the idea of observing Li Fan. Even, I feel that if Li Fan's character is not bad, it is not a problem to invite him into Marine. Wait for now. Li Fan waved his hand. I was already preparing to interview actors here. Why don't I ask if anyone wants to go to Logue Town with me? When the time comes, you take us there together. Hearing this, Smoker frowned. Then hurry up, I don't want to delay too long. I'll try my best. Li Fan smiled slightly, and turned to look at Tashiji. This beautiful lady, do you want to audition for actors with me? It just so happens that you will play the first heroine in my play. Watching other people's acting skills is also an opportunity to learn. I'll play the leading actress. Tashiji's eyes widened, but I. Come on, let's go. Li Fan recalled his sworn victory sword and handed it to Tashiji. At the same time, she was also handed the script of Fate's Day Night, as well as the character setting about Night King Arteria Pendragon. Work hard, Ms. Marine, even if it's just to get in touch with this sword more, please play this role well. Otherwise, even if I value you very much, I might replace you. At that time, as it should be, you will not be able to touch this sword. Originally, Tashiji was looking at the sword of vowed victory in his hand intoxicated, but after hearing Li Fan's words, his expression immediately became extremely serious. Don't worry, director, I will definitely play this role well. Then, well, this director, can I also play a character in your play? From the side, an extremely sweet voice came. This is Nami. Li Fan couldn't help thinking as he looked at the lively and beautiful figure in front of him. Chapter 5. Are you planning to be an actor too? Li Fan asked curiously. That's right, director, don't look at me like this, I'm a very good actor. It can be said that my daily life is full of acting. Nami patted her full chest and said confidently. Well, I believe that. Li Fan nodded, if that's the case, come with me. With that said, Li Fan took the lead and walked towards the place where he cast the role. Well, for the director and the actor, how much can they be paid? Nami rubbed his hands together, his eyes almost turned into the shape of berry. Well, because this is my first scene, I strive to restore the script perfectly. Therefore, I am not stingy with spending money. Li Fan handed his backpack to Nami, and carried Chi pointed to the inside. As long as the effect is good, it is no problem to spend all the money in it. Nami opened the backpack, and it was full of banknotes. Director, you really have 100 million berry. That's still fake. Li Fan took his backpack and locked it under Nami's resentful eyes. So, perform well, if you can perform well, it's not worth giving you 10 million. What's the problem? 10 million. Nami's heart beat faster. This guy, is he so rich? Smoker, who followed Li Fan, raised his eyebrows. That's right, I think your appearance is very suitable for playing the second female lead. As one of the heroines, it's okay to have a higher salary. Li Fan nodded and said. What about the female number 1, how much salary does the female number 1 get? Nami asked eagerly. Well. Li Fan looked at Tashiji at the side, just 13 million berry. 13 million. Nami and Tashiji exclaimed. Well, Mr. Li Fan, these 13 million berries are too much, you don't have to give me so much. Tashiji waved his hands hastily, as long as Mr. Li Fan can let me see this sword more gone. Wait, Li Fan, why don't I play the female lead? Nami took one of Li Fan's arms. Give me the 13 million berry. Hey! Smoker on the side gave Nami a fierce look. However, Nami didn't take Smoker seriously and even made a face at him. Can you use a sword? This. I can learn. Nami did not give up. Forget it, sword skills can't be learned in a day or two. Li Fan pulled his arm out of Nami's embrace. Although I don't require my actors to be able to achieve the sword skills of the characters in the script. But at least you have to see the past. If you come to play the lead actress, I think you won't even get 5 million. Even so, do you still want to play the leading role? Hearing this, Nami seemed a little hesitant. She looked at the backpack behind Li Fan, although she wanted to steal it. But thinking of Li Fan's ability to easily kill the pirates with a bounty of 10 million berry, and the marine behind her, Nami gave up stealing Li Fan for the time being. Money idea. Moreover, if she could really get 10 million berry through acting, then her goal of saving 100 million berry and redeeming her village would be considered achieved. This is for you, the script of the character Tosaka Rin. Take advantage of this time, think about it carefully, and play it for me later. After Li Fan stuffed a script into Nami's arms, he quickened his pace. Not long after, several people came to the venue for recruiting actors. Because the pirates attacked just now only Zoro is left here. Li Fan stroked his chin, looked at Zoro who was resting with his eyes closed, and then at Tashiji who was concentrating on watching the Sword of Vowed Victory. The corners of his mouth slowly curled up. Okay, Tashiji, let's watch this sword when the show starts. Li Fan raised his hand to take back the Sword of Vowed Victory in Tashiji's hand. The audition will start soon. Tashiji was slightly taken aback when the Sword of Vowed Victory disappeared from his hand, but the next moment he nodded seriously at Li Fan. On the opposite side, Zoro who heard Li Fan's voice slowly opened his eyes. Finally back, Li Fan, you, hey. Kuina. Why are you here? Seeing Tashiji beside Li Fan, Zoro widened his eyes, stood up quickly, and ran to Tashiji. Kuina. Tashiji frowned, excuse me, I think, you got the wrong person. I am not Kuina, my name is Tashiji and I am a marine. Chapter 6. After the conversation, Zoro understood that the Tashiji in front of him was not his long-dead friend Kuina. Tashiji, who just happens to look a lot like Kuina. Seeing Zoro's slightly melancholy look, Li Fan patted him on the shoulder to express his comfort. Soon, cast members who had run away regrouped as casting began again. Although some actors left after Li Fan said that they would shoot in Logue Town, many actors stayed behind despite the huge sum of money. After a series of auditions, Li Fan successfully selected some actors he needed from among the actors. Of course, only some of the main actors were selected. As for the extras, Li Fan plans to select them in Logue Town. Afterwards, under the urging of Smoker, everyone boarded the warship and rushed towards the direction of Logue Town. During the voyage, after Li Fan distributed the script and the corresponding role settings to each actor, he came to the bow of the boat, enjoying the slightly salty sea breeze. The Fifth Holy Grail War, Hercules, Berserker. Looking at the script in his hand, Smoker shook his head. I don't know if it's the right thing for me to take this job. I hope it's not too much trouble. Smoker looked around. The regular actors gathered together to discuss the plot with each other, discussing how to play their roles well. Even his subordinate Tashiji joined the discussion. Smoker shook his head, and looked at Zoro not far away who was frowning at the script in his hand. Pirate Hunter. Such a guy is actually invited to act? However, even I joined as a marine, so I don't seem to be qualified to say anything about others. After thinking for a while, Smoker walked towards Li Fan. Almost at the same time, Zoro turned around and also walked towards Li Fan. Hearing footsteps behind him, Li Fan turned his head. I said, you two, what's the matter? Li Fan, is it really possible for Sasaki Kojiro's sword skill Yanhui to be realized? Zoro handed Li Fan the setting about Sasaki Kojiro that Li Fan had given him before. You said this. Li Fan nodded, it can be achieved. Then, will you? Zoro asked with a serious expression. Smoker, it's just a character setting in the script, how could it be? If this is the case, I will indeed. Li Fan nodded. Although, it's only temporarily. Li Fan thought to himself. What, would you? Smoker asked, his eyes widening slightly. It's no surprise. Li Fan shrugged, art comes from life, don't underestimate my script. Don't you mean that everything in the script is your inspiration from reality? Smoker frowned. Who knows, but, perhaps, the story depicted in this script may have been staged somewhere. Hey? Isn't this a script you wrote? Li Fan smiled slightly, instead of answering Smoker's words, he turned to look at Zoro. Zoro, is there anything else you want to ask? Li Fan, can you demonstrate this Yanhui move? Zoro asked with his eyes fixed on Li Fan. Hearing this, Li Fan rubbed his hair. Okay, it's okay to let you see it. Anyway, in order for you to be able to perform this part well, I will show you a demonstration. To be honest, a blue light flashed in Li Fan's hand, and the long knife Wugongan appeared in his hand. Since that's the case, there's nothing you can see more clearly than facing a sword move. Zoro grinned grinningly and pulled out his 3 knives. Sasaki Kojiro's swallow return can make 3 slashes at the same time. The sword skill of hitting. Then, I can just use my 3 swords style to fight against it. Although I don't want to hit you, Yan Fan is not as simple as simply swinging 3 slashes at the same time. Li Fan smiled slightly, and pulled his right foot back. At the same time, point the knife in both hands at Zoro. The moment Li Fan got into position, a chill surged from Li Fan's body and rushed towards Zoro. Such a strong sword spirit, is this Li Fan for real? Smoker frowned, and after a little hesitation, he took a few steps back. Although he is not a swordsman, he also knows that at this time, he cannot step forward to stop the duel between the 2 swordsmen. Smoker squeezed his right hand, and suddenly found that he had unknowingly clenched the handle of his weapon. That Li Fan, just releasing the sword energy, made me clenched the weapon unconsciously? Smoker looked at Li Fan in surprise. Chapter 7. Smoker on the side is still like this, and Zoro, who is facing Li Fan directly, feels the pressure from Li Fan even more deeply. The sharp and clear aura cut his body like a wind blade and drained his fighting spirit. It was at that moment that Zoro seemed to see himself being beheaded. Tisk. I want to become the world's #1 swordsman, how can I just lose like this? Zoro clenched his teeth and squatted down slightly, forcibly resisting Li Fan's aura. Come on, Li Fan, let me see your Yan Fan. Originally, I just wanted to see if Li Fan could use the Yanhui depicted in the script, but now Zoro has regarded this as a duel. As a swordsman aspiring to the top, Zoro does not allow himself to lose. The sudden burst of vindictiveness here stopped Tashiji and others who were discussing the script, and they all cast curious glances at this side. Especially Tashiji, when she saw Li Dan's posture again, she left and came to Smoker's side. Colonel Smoker. Shut up, Tashiji, watch his sword moves carefully. Zoro crossed his swords 3 times, and the 2 samurai swords in his hands began to spin rapidly, rolling up gusts of wind towards Li Fan. 3 swords technique 3000 worlds. Zoro roared, and the 3 knives swung at Li Fan from all angles at an extremely fast speed. This is a sword move as fast as the wind. The marine soldiers on the side couldn't even see the trajectory of Zoro's swing. Hehe, I'm sorry, Zoro, a mountain is about to be erected in front of you. Stonefire Chun-Li, witness with 1 sword, the secret sword Yanhui. The corner of Li Fan's mouth was slightly raised, and the long knife in his hand slashed at Zoro's head from 3 angles at the same time. It was a flash of the real world, plus 2 flashes that appeared simultaneously regardless of space and time. Li Fan's slash surpassed many elements such as speed and skill. With only sword skills, the space has achieved twists and turns, resulting in multidimensional twists and turns. Li Fan has no doubt that under the light of the sword, no matter how strong the steel is, it will be cut into pieces. Laugh. After a clatter of metal, Li Fan's long knife came to rest near Zoro's neck. You lost, Zoro. Ding. The 2 katana swords in Zoro's hands broke apart and fell to the deck. The incision is smooth, as if an ordinary block of wood has been cut. Zoro couldn't help but sweat on his forehead. It wasn't the sweat of fear, but the sweat of being startled by Li Fan's swallow return. Li Fan smiled, and retracted the long knife placed by Zoro's neck. Did you see clearly, Zoro? After Zoro took a deep look at Li Fan, he took his only unbroken knife Hideo Yuwen from his mouth. The blade of Hideo Yuwen is shiny, and there is no trace of being cut. But Zoro knew that this was not Hideo Yuwen strong enough to resist Li Fan's sword move. The real reason it didn't break is... Li Fan, you bypassed my Hideo text, didn't you? Zoro asked. This knife should be very important to you. It would be a pity to cut it off. Li Fan smiled slightly, but did not deny it. In fact, Li Fan did avoid the words of Hideo. Otherwise, in the case that Zoro does not know how to use Haki to protect the Hideo character, if he is involved in Swallow Return's sword light, the Hideo character can only be broken. I lost. Zoro put Hideo's words into the scabbard. Also, thank you for not cutting off my saber. However, I am very displeased with the fact that you showed mercy in the duel. Li Fan shook his head and patted Zoro on the shoulder. This is just to demonstrate Yanhui to you. I never said that this is a duel. Besides, you are my important actor. If you die, where can I find an excellent swordsman to play Sasaki Kojiro? Li Fan handed the long knife and dry pole in his hand to Zoro's hand. During this time, you should get familiar with this knife first, and return it to me after the play is over. After speaking, Li Fan was going to turn around and leave. Li Fan. Zoro's voice made Li Fan stop. Is there anything else, Zoro? The swallow return you cast, according to the script, can you really learn it? This. Li Fan shrugged, I don't know very well, but Lieutenant Commander Kojiro Segi learned this way himself. Then how did you learn this trick? Well, maybe it can be said that Kojiro Sasaki taught well. Li Fan said with a smile on his face. Chapter 8. Li Fan's words made Smoker frown tightly. If, as Li Fan said, Sasaki Kojiro really exists, what about other people in the play, do they also exist? Are the weapons and props that appear in those plays real? Can the Sword of Oath of Victory wield the light of the sword to destroy the city as stated in the script? These have become doubts in Smoker's heart. This man, maybe, is not as simple as a director. Art comes from life. Is this guy putting what happened in reality into the movie? Smoker shook his head and walked towards his room. He decided to hold off on inviting Li Fan to join the Marine, and he needs to report to Naval Headquarters about Li Fan. Apart from Li Fan's mystery, Li Fan's strength like a great swordsman alone is enough for Smoker to report to his superiors. That's right, in Smoker's view, Li Fan has completely reached the level of a great swordsman. Smoker, who once trained with the former Marine Admiral Zephyr, has seen a real swordsman. In his opinion, even those great swordsmen may not be able to cut sword skills like Li Fan. Even though Li Fan didn't wield his sword energy, Smoker didn't think Li Fan couldn't, it was just that he didn't want to just now. When Smoker walked towards his room, on the other side, Nami, who watched the whole competition between Li Fan and Zoro, had another thought. That man seems really strong. Although Marine is not trustworthy, if Li Fan can be brought back to Kakosia village, it may be possible to deal with the dragon pirates. No. No. Nami shook his head. The evil dragons are murlocs after all, they are so powerful that they can even pull out a house with bare hands. That Li Fan is only able to cut off other people's knives, he must not be an opponent of the evil dragon. This guy is not bad, I can't hurt him. Anyway, after the show is over, this guy will pay me 10 million berry, and I'll just use the saved money to redeem Kokozia village. Thinking of this, Nami took a deep breath and turned his attention to his script again. By the way, the king of heroes in this script actually has so many treasures, if you give it to me, how wonderful it would be. Is it the sword skill to kill swallows flying in the sky? After carefully reviewing the setting of Swallow Return again, Zoro put the script aside. I imitated Li Fan's appearance just now and waved the long knife and dry pole in his hand. The long knife cuts through the air, making a humming sound. No, this level is not Li Fan's sword move at all. Zoro withdrew his long knife, looked at the object and fell into deep thought. Hey, Zoro, don't you really want to learn this move? Tashigi stared at Zoro. The move just now, there is no doubt that it can be described as skill or secret technique. Impossible to simply learn it. Of course I know that. After Zoro glanced at Tashigi, he put on his posture again, although according to the script, this is a sword skill created to kill Swallow. Of course, if you learn this trick, it's easy to kill Swallow. However, if you want to learn the sword skill of beheading the swallow, it will definitely not be done in a short time. I didn't intend to, I can learn it just by waving a knife like this. It took Kojiro Sasaki a long time to reach this level. I'm not proud enough to be able to learn it in an instant. Kojiro Sasaki, to be able to practice this kind of sword skill with this method, regardless of his perseverance, his talent alone must be extremely high. If such a person really exists, I really want to see it. I still don't know, this guy, who is stronger than Hawkeye, the world's #1 swordsman. Seeing Zoro swinging his sword seriously, Tashigi shook his head, throwing himself into his role again. Artoria Pendragon, King of Knights, what a noble king. I don't know, can I play her well? No, Tashigi, you have to work hard. Even if you want to be able to touch the sword of the vowed victory for a longer time, you have to work hard. Marineford Island, where the naval headquarters, one of the 3 Grand Line powers, is located. Here, naval headquarters towers so high that it seems to symbolize its absolute justice. At this moment, Marine Admiral Sengoku is correcting the documents in his hand. Poropo. The ringing of the phone bug made Sengoku look up from the towering pile of papers, and he reached out to answer the phone. Hi, this is Naval Headquarters and I'm Sengoku. Marshal Sengoku, Colonel Smoker stationed in Logetown wants to call you. He said that he has important information to report to you. Smoker. Thinking of the stubborn disciple Zephyr taught, Zephyr nodded. Since he was asked to contact Naval Headquarters, it seems that something interesting happened in East Blue. Go ahead and take his call. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. Chapter 9. Hey, this is Sengoku, long time no see, Smoker. Naval Headquarters, in the Marshal's office, Sengoku handed a piece of waste paper to the pet sheep beside him, and said to the phone bug. Marshal Sengoku, hello. Say it. I will let you call me directly to report that something serious has happened on your side. Sengoku said in a low voice, is there a powerful pirate or something else important? It's not that a powerful pirate appeared, it's just that I met a powerful swordsman in East Blue. Great swordsman? East Blue. Sengoku was a little surprised. Although East Blue has produced strong players like Marine Hero Garp and One Piece Roger, that was a long time ago. Right now, the East Blue is the weakest part of the ocean, and there haven't been any decent pirates in years. There were even very few pirates going to the Grand Line past Smoker's defense. That's right, it is indeed a great swordsman. Smoker nodded secretly, I have seen him make moves with my own eyes. Honestly, if he knew how to use haki, I'd be dead with a sword move like that. You should say such a thing. Sengoku was a little surprised. Sengoku knew in his heart that although Smoker was dispatched to the weakest East Blue station in Logue Town, his strength had reached the level of Naval Headquarters Commodore. The reason why the president has been looking forward to Logue Town for a long time is only because his character is too disobedient to discipline. And Sengoku also believes that after a period of experience in Logue Town, Smoker can be transferred back to work in the headquarters. Being able to make Smoker say such things means that the great swordsman he is talking about really has certain strength. Not only that, this guy is able to pull out a sword out of thin air. Perhaps, this is his fruit ability. However, there is a strange sword. The king's sword that can be invisible seems to have some kind of powerful power. Smoker continued. Hey? Is it a sword that can be invisible? Is it the fruit ability of this great swordsman? Sengoku frowned. Smoker, if it's just invisible, it doesn't seem so special, right? Indeed, if it's just invisibility, it's not such a powerful ability. But, according to the script, this sword is a sword with the power to destroy a city. Smoker said seriously, I have seen with my own eyes that Li Fan can easily destroy a pirate ship using the Wind King hammer of this sword. And, it also knocked out a large wave of waves. The power to destroy the city? Script. Hearing this, Sengoku felt a little strange. Smoker, what do you mean by script? It's like this. Smoker explained to Sengoku in detail about Li Fan's invitation to them to act. I see, Smoker, do you suspect that the script given by Li Fan may be based on real people? After listening to Smoker's narration, Sengoku nodded. That's right, although I know that it might seem unbelievable for me to say this, but that Li Fan really gave me such a signal. That's why I want to report to you, Marshal Sengoku. Smoker nodded. Also, I would like to recommend this Li Fan to Naval Headquarters. With his ability, if he can become a Marine, he will definitely be a powerful Marine. With his strength, he can't show his talents here, so, I think, Naval Headquarters may be able to recruit him. I understand what you mean. Sengoku frowned and said in a steady tone, Smoker, since you agreed to act in his crew, then take this opportunity to observe him carefully. If he's got a good temper, recruit him to Marine. If he agrees, I will arrange a suitable position for him. In addition, while acting, you should also observe whether the things in the script reflect this reality. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. Smoker followed Sengoku's order and hung up the phone. Sengoku put down the microphone in his hand, and looked at Garp who was munching on senbei beside him. Hey, Garp, don't keep eating my senbei. Sengoku shook his hand and snatched the senbei from Garp's hand. Don't be so mean, Sengoku. Garp laughed, not caring. Sengoku sighed and stuffed his senbei into the drawer. Garp, what do you think about the great swordsman Smoker talked about? No. Garp picked his nostrils, and said amidst Sengoku's disgusted expression, you can think about these things yourself, and just tell me when you think about it. Also, about my vacation, it's almost time for you to approve it for me. After being away from home for so long, it's time for me to go back and see my grandson. Faced with Garp's attitude, Sengoku is very helpless, but Sengoku, who knows his character, can't do anything about it. Forget it, go on vacation. However, since you're going back to East Blue, go see what Smoker calls Li Fan. Use your ship to bring him back to Naval Headquarters if it suits you. I see. Garp waved his hand and walked out of the door of the Marshal's office. Chapter 10. East Blue. After sailing for about 3 days, Smoker's warship finally landed in Logue Town. Li Fan also immediately put into the preparations for the shooting. Recruiting group performers, renting shooting venues, and preparing for shooting time are all on the agenda. Under Barry's power, soon, the preparations were done. The next day, Li Fan finally ushered in the start of filming. At this moment, Li Fan has dyed his hair the same red color as Emi Yashiro. The other actors, both in dress and hair, have been prepared according to Li Fan's requirements. Very well, today is the day when our crew officially starts filming. I won't say much else, I just hope everyone shoot the show well, finish the play as quickly as possible, and then get your compensation as soon as possible. The contracts were all signed under Marine supervision, so you don't have to worry about me running away. So, are the units ready? Li Fan shouted loudly. Ready. The crowd cheered loudly. Very good, then Fata Stay Night, the first scene, the first time, let's start. With the voice of Li Fan, the actors quickly got into the mood. The shooting tools obtained from the system also worked immediately. Because the shooting equipment provided by the system, no matter how violent the wind or attack is, it will move according to the established route, so the shooting will be much easier. Li Fan, who is the leading actor, appeared in the camera for the first time. At this moment, Li Fan was wearing a loose blue coat, lying quietly on the ground, surrounded by wrenches, pliers and other tools. The closed door slowly opened, a beam of light shot into the room, and a girl in a school uniform with blue hair appeared in the camera. This is the actor who played Sakura Matu. She walked into the room slowly and woke up Li Fan, and the story unfolded slowly. Card. Very good, this shot passed perfectly. Li Fan happily announced the end of the first shot. He walked up to the actor who played Sakura Matu, patted her on the shoulder, and said, as expected of the most professional actor who came out of that island, Karis, it's very good. You completely performed Sakura Matu's temperament. Thank you, director, for your compliment. Carlos bowed slightly to Li Fan, her expression still imitating Sakura Matu in the script. Since you agree with my acting skills, director, the 8 million you promised Barry's remuneration will surely not break his promise. Of course. Li Fan smiled, however, when you say this, please don't say it like Sakura Matu, it will make me feel very awkward. Li Fan turned around and looked at the actors beside him. The first shot is very good, I hope everyone can continue in the future, so, now start the second shot. Time flies, and soon, 3 days have passed. The shooting was much better than Li Fan expected, because there were many professional actors in it, so many shots were shot in one shot. Although at the beginning, Tashiji, who is not a professional actor, was a little unfamiliar, and he couldn't freely control the sword of the vowed victory that Li Fan used Wind King barrier to hide his figure. But after Li Fan's systematic explanation and special training, he was finally able to control the character very well, and completed a rivalry scene with Li Fan. As for Nami, Li Fan was particularly surprised. As she herself said, she is very good at acting. Li Fan can't fault anything about her roles. When playing against another character Aker played by Li Fan, the performance is also perfect. Even if she had some physical contact with Li Fan, she didn't care. On the other hand, Tashiji, the fighting scenes are okay, but once there are some intimate scenes, Tashiji will always repeat the shooting several times. After shooting, Tashiji's face will also be flushed with embarrassment. However, in general, it is still good. As the filming progressed, Smoker became more and more surprised by Li Fan. The reason is that when Li Fan plays Aker, he can really use projection magic to project like Aker in the script. The arrows shot are also quite powerful. Smoker even suspects that Li Fan could easily destroy a coast with his bow if it wasn't for the show. Just like in the script. Okay, card. After finishing another shot, Li Fan came out from behind the scenes. He walked up to Smoker, who was asked to change his outfit for playing Hercules, and patted him on the shoulder. Well, Smoker, thanks for your hard work, your appearance was perfect. And everyone, you have all worked hard, today's filming ends here. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock sharp, we will continue to shoot. Hearing this, the actors dispersed talking and laughing, and walked towards the hotel booked by Li Fan. In order to keep the actors in a good state, Li Fan specially selected the best hotel in Logue Town for the actors to live in. And this also makes the characters of the actors particularly high. Seeing people start to leave, Li Fan recovered the camera floating in the air. Then he walked to the ground beside him, and pulled out the fake spiral sword that he shot out just now because of acting. Li Fan, can your spiral sword really explode? Smoker suddenly asked next to Li Fan. Chapter 11. Hearing Smoker's question, Tashiji and Zoro, who hadn't left yet, also surrounded him. Well. Li Fan paused slightly, and then under the expectant eyes of everyone, who knows? Zoro staggered and almost fell to the ground. I said, what is meant by who knows? Isn't this the sword you shot yourself? Zoro fixed his eyes on Li Fan with a slightly dissatisfied expression. Also, when will Sasaki Kojiro, who I play, be able to appear on the stage? Don't worry, Zoro, your role is still to come. Li Fan patted Zoro's shoulder, speaking of which, how is your practice of Yanhui? No need for special effects. Tisk, it's not that easy. Zoro slapped Li Fan's hand away, don't you know it yourself, don't you know the difficulty of this move? At the end of the day, I'm not sure whether I learned this trick through cutting swallows. How did you guys do it? You don't tell me. I was afraid of hurting you. Li Fan shrugged. Li Fan, I won't ask the previous question, but, your ability to conjure weapons at will, could it be the projection magic in the script? Smoker asked with a frown. Hehe, maybe it's my fruit ability. Li Fan smiled slightly, but didn't tell Smoker the truth. Regarding the abilities provided by the system, Li Fan does not intend to disclose too much until Li Fan has the absolute strength to protect himself. As for what other people think, that is their business. Okay, everyone has worked hard, let's all go back and rest. Smoker, Tashiji, don't you guys still have marine work to do, go back quickly. Saying that, Li Fan waved his hand, and the sword of vowed victory in Tashiji's hand and the huge axe sword in Smoker's hand disappeared at the same time. Woo, again, disappeared again. Tashiji felt his empty hand, with an aggrieved expression, Li Fan, can't you let me take it home? No, this is a precious sword. I can't let him out of my sight. Then what about him? Tashiji pointed to Zoro, why don't you take back the Wugen pole in his hand? Well, because he still needs to be familiar with this long knife. Li Fan waved his hand, I'm also a little tired, so I'll dodge first. As soon as the words fell, Li Fan suddenly accelerated and ran towards the hotel. While leaving, Li Fan did not forget to pull Zoro on the side. This stunned Tashiji, who wanted to see more about the sword of promised victory. Let's go, Tashiji, let's go back. That sword, won't you still be able to see it tomorrow? Hey, Li Fan, why are you dragging me away? I don't plan to go back to the hotel, I want to go shopping elsewhere. On the way, Zoro, who was being dragged away by Li Fan, looked at him with a displeased face. Li Fan! Come on, I agreed to go out with you 2 days ago, but in the end, I mobilized the entire crew to find you. Whatever you say this time, you must go back with me. UBD, do you mean I'm going to get lost? Isn't it? Li Fan gave Zoro a contemptuous look, the whole crew already knows that you are a super big road idiot, can you have something in your heart? How is it possible, those guys must have misunderstood me. Also, let me go quickly. Don't let it go. Besides, after returning to the hotel, you stay in the room honestly. If you want to practice, you can also practice in the room. As long as you don't tear down the hotel, it's fine. Regardless of Zoro's struggle, Li Fan forcibly dragged Zoro back to the hotel and sent him to his room. Stay well, Zoro, if you agree, be careful that I won't compete with you in swordsmanship in the future. Hearing Li Fan's words, Zoro was taken aback for a moment, and finally he could only sigh, and gave up the idea of going out for a drink. Okay, you go back, you don't have to guard me, just me and the wine in the room. Zoro said. That's right. Li Fan nodded in satisfaction. By the way, try to figure out Kojiro Sasaki's character, your part can be filmed in a short time. After Zoro nodded slightly, he closed the door of his room. What a worrying guy. I don't know what kind of brain circuit makes this guy so crazy. This guy puts all his talents on swordsmanship, so is the talent for pathfinding negative. Unable to figure it out, Li Fan sighed, turned around, and was about to walk towards his room. Li Fan, are you free for a chat? On the side, a door opened, and Carries, who played Sakura Matu, invited Li Fan with a smile. She was wearing suspender pajamas, and her white skin shone seductively under the light. Carlos noticed Li Fan's expression, the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, she licked her lips, and smiled coquettishly. If the director is willing, it's not impossible for me to provide you with some special services. Of course, you have to pay more, hee. After entering Carlyle's room, Carlyle poured a cup of tea for Li Fan. Director Li Fan, please drink tea. Li Fan took the teacup and sat down on a chair. So, what do you want to talk about, Karis? Director Li Fan, don't you think I invited you in because I want to do something interesting about men and women? Hee, although you said that before, I don't see that you have that kind of thought. Li Fan shrugged, as a director, I can still tell whether the actors are acting or not. I really can't lie to you, the director. In fact, I do have something I want to ask you. Chapter 12. After Li Fan entered Carlos's room, a half-hidden door beside her was slowly pushed open. Nami poked her head out quietly, looking at Karis's door. That woman Carlyle, is she trying to use her body to seduce Li Fan and ask Li Fan to add money to him? If this is the case, will the remuneration of Carlos, the third female lead, be higher than that of me, the second female lead? Wait, maybe Carlos will ask Li Fan to change the script so that she plays Sakura Matu more than I play Rin Tosaka. In this way, my reward may be reduced. No, I can't let the two of them mess around inside, I have to go and have a look. Nami, who secretly made a decision, took a deep breath, came to Karis's door and knocked on the door. Bang bang bang. Who is it? It's so late. Karis' voice came from the room. After a while, Carlyle opened the door. Nami, why are you here? Hee, I just saw the director come into your room, and I happen to have some questions about the role that I want to ask him. That won't bother you. Nami said with a smile on his face. Are you also because of the plot? Carlos held Nami's hand a little excitedly, just in time, I also want to ask the director about some character problems. That's why he was asked to come in and help me with my counseling. This is great. If you come too, we can make progress together. After all, in the play, we are sisters, hee. While talking, Carlos brought it into the room. Her serious look stunned Nami, who thought she was disturbing her and Li Fan's good business. Li Fan was sitting at a table when Nami came into the room. The script of Fate Stay Night is placed on the table. Director, Nami also wants to participate in the discussion of the script, okay. Li Fan put down his teacup and glanced at Nami, of course, if this is for you to play your roles well, I will fully assist you. Wait, are you guys really discussing the script? Seeing Li Fan's well-dressed appearance, Nami asked in surprise. Hey? Besides discussing the script, what else can we discuss? Callis gave Nami a strange look, but in the next second, Callis thought of something. I see, Nami, you think I'm doing that with Li Fan, hee. Could it be that you like our director Lee Fan, so when you saw me inviting him into the room, you got anxious? Carlos put her head next to Nami's ear, exhaling like blue. Carlyle's teasing tone immediately made Nami blush. Who would like this guy? I just like the berry in his hand. Really, since this is the case, then I will launch an offensive. Looking at the appearance of the two women, Lee Fan shook his head. I said, you two, don't you want to discuss the script? Hee, I'll be right there, director. Carlos smiled slightly, and took Nami to sit next to Lee Fan. Let's continue, director. Regarding the character of Mata Sakura, I actually like it very much. Kind, gentle, always silently supporting the protagonist behind the scenes, giving selflessly. However, because of this, I want to learn more about this character. Although it is the third female lead, I always feel that the story of Mata Sakura is not fully developed in the script. Her relationship with the Mata family and the entanglement with the Tosaka family are mostly foggy. Lee Fan, since you are the owner of this script, do you have any more settings about Mata Sakura? Hearing this, Lee Fan silently took a sip of the tea in his cup. Actually, regarding this script, it depends on the situation. Sakura Mata can change from the third female lead to the first female lead. Of course, Mata Sakura, who becomes the female lead, will start another, completely different story with Emi Yashiro, who is the protagonist. However, if I say that getting to know Sakura Mata too much, you will step into a character's incomparably deep darkness, will you listen to? Lee Fan's words made Karis, who had been smiling, serious. After thinking about the words for a while, Carlos nodded heavily. As I said earlier, I really like the character of Sakura Matu, so I want to know more about him. Well, since you insist on that. Lee Fan nodded slightly. Actually, there are 3 versions of the script about Fata Stay Night according to different developments. The heroines of the 3 versions are Artoria, Tosaka Rin and Mata Sakura. The version I shot is a story about the protagonists Emi Yashiro and Artoria. For Rin Tosaka's version, the focus will be on the conflict between Emi Yashiro and Aker. In this version, Aker's true identity will also be revealed. As for the version of Mata Sakura, it is the saddest and most miserable version. It just so happens that Nami is here too. Let me tell you about these 2 versions. But before that, let me tell you about the prequel of Fata Stay Night, Fate 0. In addition, I hope you two can keep the things that will be discussed today secret, and don't publicize them to the outside world. After all, this information will seriously affect the perception of the movie I am shooting now. Hearing this, Karis and Nami nodded. Seeing that the two agreed, Lee Fan began to explain slowly. Things have to be traced back to the time of the 4th Holy Grail War, 6 years before the 5th Holy Grail War. Chapter 13. I said, you two, what's the matter, is it necessary to have such an expression? Looking at the 2 people who have been sad since listening to him tell the story of the Holy Grail War, Lee Fan couldn't help but said. Woo! I never thought that Sakura Mata would be such a poor girl. Suddenly, Carlos's eyes couldn't stop crying. Yeah, it's so pitiful, and that Emi Yashiro, who saved the world all the time, and was still sitting around until he became a heroic spirit after death. What a super bad guy. Nami also shed tears. Woo! The 2 girls, who were crying for each other, couldn't help hugging each other and weeping loudly. Lee Fan looked left and then again, and touched the back of his head. I said, I just told you this story. Do you have to cry so badly? Humph, the director is such a heartless man, I misread you. Carlos pouted and looked at Lee Fan. That's right, he's just a scumbag. Nami also looked at Lee Fan with dissatisfaction. Okay, I'm a heartless man, I'm a scumbag. Lee Fan raised his hands in surrender. Anyway, remember not to tell anyone about these plots. I'll leave first, you two can cry slowly here. With that said, Li Fan walked towards the door. By the way, don't rest too late, you still have your scenes to shoot tomorrow. I think, you also want to be able to finish the work quickly, and then get the money. After speaking, Li Fan opened the door and walked to his room. The shooting continued normally, and another few days passed, and the shooting was already halfway through. At the same time, Smoker was even more surprised. This Li Fan, what kind of ability is it that can make the actor who plays Caster fly like the script says? It can also expand something like a magic circle around Caster. This guy, couldn't it be the end that he can really release the treasure? Looking at Li Fan who is busy in front of him, teaching Tashiji, Smoker can't help thinking. Forget it, after the performance, we will know whether this guy has that ability. Okay, Tashiji, do you remember what I said? Li Fan looked at Tashiji and said seriously. Tashiji, who was wearing the silver armor that Li Fan created with projection magic, nodded vigorously. Very good, that's the momentum. After Li Fan patted Tashiji's shoulder, he looked at Alice, the actor who played Rider Medusa, on the other side. Okay, Alice, you've been doing really well from the beginning until now. However, the next scene may be a little grim. I remember you said that you can ride a horse, and you don't have a fear of heights. Alice nodded and said. Yes, director, I do know how to ride a horse. However, director, although according to the script, in this shot, I will use the treasure to summon a Snow White Pegasus. However, I don't see that you have a horse for a show. Hearing this, Li Fan showed a mysterious smile. Alice, you don't have to worry about this. Wait a minute, as long as you pose in a certain pose and say a certain line as I told you, that's enough. About Pegasus, I will prepare it for you. Let me tell you in advance to let this shot fail so that you won't be surprised. After you finish your lines, I will summon Pegasus to appear by your side. You just have to ride it and fight the King of Knights played by Tashiji. Of course, you don't have to worry about falling, I will protect my actors. Hearing Li Fan's words, Alice glanced at Li Fan in surprise. Director, shouldn't it be, you are Medusa yourself, and you can use its treasure. Hee, stop joking. Li Fan patted Alice on the shoulder, I'm just an ordinary director and actor. Okay, if you are ready, the units will start working. Hearing Li Fan's order, everyone started to move. Soon, the camera progressed to the moment when Ryder used the treasure to summon the dreamy Pegasus. I saw Alice leaning forward slightly, and a crimson magic circle began to appear in front of her. Although the magic circle appeared suddenly, under the premise that Li Fan had already known it, Alice, a professional actor, did not panic, but slowly read her lines. Noble Phantasm, unfold, Reign of Ryder. Boom. Chapter 14. A pure white Pegasus suddenly appeared in front of Ryder. Pure white body, elegant wings. As soon as the dreamlike image of Tianma appeared, it attracted the attention of everyone present, especially the girls. Pegasus has always been a symbol of innocence, friendship, kindness, and other beautiful things. When it appears in fairy tales, it always has a very beautiful scene. It can be said that girls who have watched The Call and dreamed of being a princess will not hate the legendary Pegasus. Therefore, as soon as the Pegasus appeared, the scene was silent. Tashiji, Nami, and other girls looked at the Pegasus in front of Alice with excitement and longing. Alice is no exception. Card. Li Fan's voice woke everyone up, making everyone look away from Tianma to Li Fan. I said, you guys are filming now. Li Fan touched his head and walked up to Alice helplessly, especially you, Alice, you're playing Ryder, you're all stunned, how should this scene proceed? Sorry, director, it's really beautiful. Alice looked at the Pegasus beside her, and at the same time, couldn't help reaching out and touching its skin. Because of Li Fan, Tianma did not refuse Alice's touch, and even gently turned his head and arched Alice's body. Good. Great. Seeing Tianma's cute appearance, the rest of the women screamed and ran over, even Li Fan was pushed aside. But when they wanted to reach out to touch Tianma, Tianma waved its wings impatiently. The sudden gust of wind forced Tashiji and the others to stop. This is also of course, after all, this is the Pegasus summoned by Li Fan using his own magic power. Except for himself and Rider who was allowed to contact by Li Fan, it is impossible for the rest of the people to contact. Li Fan. Tashiji turned around and looked at Li Fan expectantly. Yes, can I touch it? And me, can I ride it and fly? Nami also looked forward to it. I'm talking about you guys, do you know that I summoned it, but it's very tiring. Li Fan sighed deeply. Although the system allows Li Fan to use the abilities of each servant during the filming of this movie. However, the system did not give Li Fan unlimited magic power. Although the magic power that Li Fan possesses now cannot be said to be less, Rider Medusa's noble phantasm can also be opened in a row. But that would be quite tiring after all. If possible, Li Fan hopes to release the shot of the treasure, and try to pass it in one go. Forget it, all units, take a break, and we will continue in 5 minutes. Seeing the expectant eyes of Tashiji and others, Li Fan finally did not refuse their request. In Li Fan's view, properly meeting the requirements of the actors also has a positive effect on filming. Tashiji, and Nami, I'll give you 5 minutes. In a few minutes, I will collect the revolving heaven horse. And Alice, don't be stunned when I summon Pegasus again. I don't want to experience using this treasure 3 times in a row in one day. Hearing this, Nami and others immediately cheered and came to Tenma happily. And this time, with Li Fan's permission, Tianma did not prevent Nami and others from touching. Seeing the excitement of the girls, Li Fan shook his head and stepped aside. Li Fan, you just said the word Bao Phantasm, didn't you? Can I think that noble phantasm really exists? And you, are you the one who can use noble phantasm? On the side, Smoker, who got off work from Marine, came to Li Fan and looked at Li Fan with a serious face. Noble phantasm. Li Fan waved his hand, I just followed the script, and there is no other meaning. Really? But, you also said before that the content in your script may be what actually happened in the past. Smoker said. Also, if you attribute your ability to devil fruit, then you have too much power. Also, for this scene, there will be a scene where the character played by Tashiji releases the noble phantasm later. At that time, maybe the golden aurora was actually released from Tashiji's sword. Li Fan smiled, stood up from his seat, and patted Smoker on the shoulder. Don't think too much, Smoker. Devil fruit is amazing after all. Maybe there really is such a fruit that will allow me to realize what you see now. Also, even if the characters and stories in the script really appeared, it doesn't make sense. An ordinary director like me would use all the treasures, wouldn't I? Chapter 15. Of course, don't worry, wait for the scene, Tashiji's sword will not release lasers against the city. Filming is filming after all, I don't want my actors to have accidents. Li Fan smiled at Smoker again, and walked towards Nami and others. Smoker looked deeply at Li Fan's back. This guy, did he really just eat some kind of special devil fruit? Or, did you really master the power called noble phantasm? Okay, ladies, 5 minutes have passed and we're filming. Following Li Fan's voice, the Pegasus in front of Nami and the others suddenly disappeared. Immediately, all the girls showed disappointed expressions, and at the same time looked at Li Fan with resentment. Hey, what are you looking at? It looks like I did something to you. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Also, do you still want to rest? I won't allow you to leave until the shooting of this scene is finished today. Of course, after shooting this scene, it's not impossible for you to get in touch with Tianma again. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, the eyes of Tashiji and others immediately shone. Seeing that everyone mentioned cleaning, Li Fan nodded in satisfaction. Very good, then, all units pay attention, let's continue the scene just now. After the first failure, the second shot was successfully completed. Alice mounts a Pegasus to launch a surprise attack on the King of Knights, and the King of Knights greets him with the sword of promised victory liberated from his hands. In the end, Alice was defeated by the noble phantasm of the King of Knights and formally exited. Of course, Tashigi simply waved the sword of the sworn victory in his hand. As for the Golden Aurora, Li Fan plans to use special effects technology to deal with it later. After the filming ended, Li Fan, as he said, let Tianma drive Nami and others to experience the scene of the sky. After Li Fan felt that his magic power was consumed a little bit, he took back the Pegasus. Another few days passed, and on this day, Logue Town ushered in a special person. Vice Admiral Garp, we've reached Logue Town. On a huge warship, sailors in marine uniforms shouted to the marine hero Garp standing on the bow. Boom! The air bubble on Garp's nose burst suddenly, and the whole person woke up from sleep. Already here? Garp ruffled his hair. In that case, let's go see what the smoker guy said about Li Fan. They should still be doing that scene in Logue Town. Regarding Li Fan, as he showed more and more strength, Smoker practiced more and more to Naval Headquarters. After Naval Headquarters Marshal Sengoku heard about Li Fan's magical power, his interest in Li Fan gradually deepened. Therefore, Sengoku did not urge Garp, who was on vacation in East Blue, to hurry to Logue Town. Annoyed and helpless, Garp had no choice but to speed up his sailing. Vice Admiral Garp, hello. As soon as Garp landed, Tashigi, still wearing the armor of the King of Knights, greeted him. I'm Sergeant Tashigi of Logue Town Marine, and I'm here to greet you. Marine. Garp took a strange look at Tashigi's clothes. When did Marine have such clothes? Vice Admiral Garp, you misunderstood, these are not Marine's clothes, but my clothes on the set. Tashigi said shyly. Crew? Oh, you also participated in Li Fan's movie, right? Garp clenched his right hand and tapped his left palm. That's right, Vice Admiral Garp. Tashigi nodded, because I knew you would land in Logue Town today, so I came to greet you. Sorry, Colonel Smoker couldn't come to greet you, he is currently filming an important scene with director Li Fan. Is it filming? Interesting, Sergeant Tashigi, take me to see it. Garp said with interest. Yes, Vice Admiral Garp. When Tashigi arrived at the theater with Garp, filming was in full swing. This is the last battle of Acre played by Li Fan, and the one who plays against him is the smoker who tests Hercules. I saw Li Fan clenched his fist with his right hand and put it on his chest, and a mysterious singing sound slowly spewed out from his mouth. I am the bone of the sword I hold. This body is made of swords. Steel is the body, but fire is the blood. The tide of blood is like iron, and the heart is like glass. There are more than 1,000 handmade swords. Across countless battlefields without defeat. I am not known by death, I have never retreated once, and I am not known by life. I never got a confidant. Has suffered to create many weapons. It often stands on the top of the sword hill, drunk in victory alone. However, all that remains is nothingness. Therefore, this life is meaningless. So as I pray, unlimited sword system. Then this body is destined to be born for the sword. Rumble. Huge magic power erupted from Li Fan's body, and the world changed instantly, and the realm changed. Whether it was facing Li Fan's smoker, the actor playing Ilya, or the staff outside the camera, Kikai closed her eyes. The next moment, when everyone opened their eyes again, they discovered in horror that the world had changed. At this moment, they are in the world of swords. Chapter 16. This is. Looking at the world in front of him, even with Garp's insight, he couldn't help but be amazed. Is this power the awakening of Devil Fruit? As a marine hero, Garp naturally knows that Devil Fruit has an awakened state. According to legend, Paramecia's demon fruit power, after awakening, can affect the real world. Now that everything around has become a world of swords, it's no wonder Garp thinks so much about music. Opposite Li Fan, Smoker was surprised, but fortunately, Li Fan had already told him what would happen after he used unlimited sword system. Therefore, although Smoker was surprised, he still perfectly cooperated with Li Fan to complete this scene. This also made Li Fan take a high look at Smoker. As expected of a white hunter from naval headquarters, his psychological quality is just extraordinary. Very well, this shot went well, and then, it's time for us to move on to the next shot. Li Fan smiled happily. You're happy, but it's time to release your unlimited sword control. Smoker looked at the surrounding scene. I always feel that staying here is very uncomfortable. Wait, Director Li Fan, don't cancel it yet. Tashiji ran over quickly. The swords here are really amazing. I feel that each one is much better than Shijir in my hand. Li Fan, can you let me take a look at the sword here? It's being lifted. Hearing Tashiji's words, Smoker, who is Tashiji's boss, frowned. Just as he was about to persuade Tashiji, Garp's figure suddenly appeared in his field of vision. Vice Admiral Garp, have you come yet? Garp nodded at Smoker. Well, I just came here, but it just happened to catch up with a good show. Very interesting ability, Li Fan boy. Garp turned his head to look at Li Fan. It's such a pity that such ability is lost like this. Why not? Let's have a good fight with the old man. Hey! Garp, Vice Admiral Garp, do you want to fight this man? Hearing Garp's words, all the Marines who followed him widened their eyes. Li Fan also looked at Garp in surprise. Shall I fight you, the Marine hero? Well, I don't think I need to fight you, Vice Admiral Garp. Haha, I just want to see your strength. Garp laughed, don't worry, I'm just going to fight casually, and I won't give my best. Li Fan lowered his head in thought for a while, then raised his head to look at Garp. Well, since you've said that, it's not good for me to refuse. Coincidentally, I also want to see what kind of strength the Marine hero, who was able to chase the Pirate King Roger and run around, has. However, before fighting with you, you have to promise me one thing first. Hey, let's hear it. Garp laughed. It's not a big deal, but since I promised to fight with you, I also hope that you can come to me to act in a movie in the future. What do you think? Act in a movie? Garp rubbed his messy beard, although I don't know how far I can do it, but I promise you. Well, it's time to start now, Li Fan. Certainly. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, Garp's fist appeared in front of Li Fan's eyes instantly. Li Fan's eyes were fixed, and his hands quickly projected Gan to block Emosia in front of him. Boom! With a loud noise, Li Fan flew backwards at an extremely fast speed, and Li Fan didn't stop until he flew back tens of meters. Click! The stem in Li Fan's hand shattered Emosia and turned into magic particles that quickly dissipated. This old guy, with such great strength, shattered my projected sword with one punch. Li Fan looked up at Garp, who was leaping in the air. However, that's right, he is Marine's hero after all. Without this power, it would be strange. Unknowingly, Li Fan's mood slowly became excited. He stood up straight and extended his right hand towards the flying Garp. Magic power surged behind him, and dozens of gigantic, 3-meter-long giant swords suddenly appeared, and flew towards Garp at an extremely fast speed. Well done! Garp roared, and armament haki condensed his fists and swung his iron fist fiercely at the giant sword. The huge sword temporarily projected by Li Fan only delayed Garp for some time, and was smashed by Garp. However, this time is enough for Li Fan. At this moment, a longbow has been projected in Li Fan's hand. On the longbow, an oddly shaped arrow pointed straight at Garp. That's the spiral sword. Smoker's eyes widened in the distance, Be careful with that arrow, Vice Admiral Garp. The corners of Li Fan's mouth curled up, and a pair of eagle-like eyes fixed on the falling Garp. Pseudo-spiral sword, fantasy collapse. Li Fan let go of the bowstring, and the spiral sword projected by Li Fan pierced through the space and quickly appeared in front of Garp. Rumble. Chapter 17. Facing the oncoming spiral sword, Garp waved his fist at it without hesitation. Then, there was a huge explosion. The strong wind generated by the explosion directly forced people in the distance to raise their hands to block the front. Garp was also swept away by the sudden explosion. When Garp stood firmly again, he had already returned to his previous position, and even his clothes were a little damaged. Good guy, it's so powerful. Garp patted his clothes, looked at Li Fan as if nothing happened. That shot just now is comparable to that guy Kizaru's laser shot. Do you know how many times this guy can release such an attack? Ha, that guy Sengoku is right, this guy really should be invited to come over to be Marine. Then, but first, let him realize the power of Marine. Garp squeezed his fist and walked towards Li Fan's direction. Hey, Li Fan, that was a good move just now, why don't you be a Marine? With your strength, I can recommend you to Sengoku as a colonel or something. Colonel. Colonel. Tashigi looked at Garp in surprise from a distance. Isn't this the same position as Colonel Smoker? With Li Fan's strength, I'm afraid, even the position of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral can be secured. It's just because Li Fan doesn't have much fame and achievements, so Vice Admiral Garp said let him be a colonel. Smoker next to Tashigi explained. If this guy becomes Marine, it's a good thing for us. After a few days of observation, I think Li Fan is still a guy with a sense of justice. Li Fan froze slightly when he heard Garp's words. Hey, Vice Admiral Garp, I appreciate your kindness, but I still want to be free to make movies. There are too many customs to be a Marine, so forget it. What? I invited you with good intentions. Garp shouted, it's not impossible to make movies after becoming a Marine. Besides, with Marine's identity, you can invite Marine to act in the movie more conveniently. Li Fan shook his head and refused. Although what you said, Vice Admiral Garp, is quite attractive, being a Marine means that I can no longer invite pirates to star in my movies. If that's the case, it's still my fault. What, UBD, are you still inviting pirates to act? Garp's eyes widened. I'm not a Marine, and I don't have the obligation to catch pirates. Of course, I can invite pirates to be actors. Li Fan shrugged, don't break the law. In Marine's regulations, there shouldn't be any laws preventing ordinary people from dealing with pirates. Hearing Li Fan's words, Garp's expression twisted immediately. Although there is no law saying that you cannot invite pirates to film, but you guys want to invite pirates even though regular people don't invite them. It looks like I need to use my fist of love to wake you up. As he spoke, Garp clenched his fists and strode towards Li Fan. Although the speed is not fast, every step of Garp can make Li Fan feel a beast coming towards him. An astonishing momentum kept coming from Garp's direction. Hey, it's just a competition, why are you so angry? Besides, the casting of a movie is very serious. You can't guarantee that I will be able to choose a suitable role from Marine. Sometimes, it's more appropriate to appear in pirates. Li Fan looked at Garp and said speechlessly. Don't tell me these things. In short, I will let you taste my fist today. You old man. Li Fan sighed deeply, since you are so serious, then I have to be serious. Following Li Fan's words, all the swords in Unlimited Sword System began to tremble violently as if they had life. This abnormality made Garp stop involuntarily. What a coincidence, Garp, where you are now is my world. In a word, this is my home field. The corner of Li Fan's mouth curled up, and his right hand stretched out towards the sky. Immediately, the sword stuck in the ground flew into the sky, and then crazily towards the gathering behind Li Fan. In just a moment, thousands of swords gathered behind Li Fan. Just kidding. So many swords, how do you deal with them? Vice Admiral Garp, you'll be fine. It's too exaggerated. Where did this sword master come from? He can control so many swords. The soldiers on the Garp warship all stared wide-eyed. On the other hand, Zoro was equally astonished. He squeezed his scabbard tightly and looked at Li Fan solemnly. Can I resist such a move? Zoro questioned himself, but came up with an answer quickly. Cannot. The huge two words filled Zoro's heart. Even though Li Fan hadn't made a move yet, Zoro knew that no matter what, he couldn't resist this move. Li Fan, you guy, how far have you come on the way of the sword? Chapter 18. Originally, Zoro thought that Li Fan's powerful swordsmanship was only the Yanhui style. Until now, Zoro knew that, in addition to the stunt that ignores space and time, Li Fan is also able to build a world with infinite swords with his own power. Zoro could barely understand the previous Yanhui, but unlimited sword system has already surpassed the limit that Zoro can imagine. Tashiji, who is also a swordsman, was also shocked. Li Fan, if Shiro Emiya and Aker in the script are hiding this world of swords in their hearts, they can use their own power to reveal this world. Then you, who can also do this kind of thing, do you also have such a world of swords in your heart? At this moment, Tashiji is full of longing for Li Fan's swordsmanship, and also has a lot of curiosity about Li Fan. Garp, your armament haki should be doing pretty well. Next, what you are facing is really an infinite sword. Don't be unable to stop it. Let me be charged with killing the marine hero. I don't want to worry about your marine's pursuit when I make a movie in the future. Li Fan said to Garp not far in front of him with a smile on his face. Tisk, brat, it's just that there are more swords. If you regard this as a hail of bullets, I have also seen bigger scenes. Don't underestimate me. Garp slammed his feet on the ground and quickly approached Li Fan. Hehe, you're underestimating me when you compare my weapons to ordinary ammunition. The corners of Li Fan's lips curled up, they are all treasures. As Li Fan swung his hand downward, thousands of swords rushed straight at Garp. People in the distance came. Garp seemed to be facing the vast sea with a human body at this moment. Soon, Garp's figure was submerged in the infinite flying sword. Boom! The huge roar continued to ring out in the inherent enchantment of unlimited sword system. Garp's fist seemed to be turned into a machine gun, constantly bombarding the long sword flying towards him. However, even so, the sword still crossed the barrier built by Garp's fists and hit his body. However, because Garp is covered with the extremely powerful armament haki, the long sword did not cause any damage to Garp. A few minutes later, Li Fan stopped summoning the noble phantasm, and Garp finally emerged from the infinite rain of swords. At this moment, although the clothes on Garp's body were a little damaged, his body was not injured, and even his breath wasn't too chaotic. Great, Vice Admiral Garp is all right. As expected of Vice Admiral Garp, such an attack can be stopped. The Marines cheered loudly, and they were sincerely proud that Marine had such a character. Clap clap. Li Fan clapped his hands and walked towards Garp. As expected of Garp, the Marine hero. If someone else did the move just now, I'm afraid he would have lost his face by now. Tisk, UBD. Garp looked at Li Fan angrily. UBD obviously kept his hand. Although there are many swords just now, they are not very lethal. You never thought about fighting me seriously. We are not enemies, and we just said at the beginning that it is enough to exchange ideas, isn't it? Li Fan said to Kide with a smile on his face, it should be enough to defeat this level. You kid, you're right. Garp laughed, you're a good guy. As for the thing you said about inviting pirates to make a movie, let Sengoku have a headache. Anyway, I have invited you, and my mission is considered complete. Hearing this, Li Fan couldn't help but feel sympathy for Sengoku. With such an old partner, it is really painful for Sengoku to be the marshal. Li Fan stretched out his hand and snapped his fingers. In an instant, unlimited sword system slowly dissipated like a torn curtain. The people at the scene returned to Logue Town again. It's okay to fight, Garp, don't forget to promise me, when I invite you to film in the future, you must agree. Hey? Did I agree before? Garp picked his nostrils and said with a slap in the face. At the same time, he even threw the stuffed booger in the direction of Li Fan. Li Fan's eyes widened, he quickly dodged Garp's booger, and then kicked Garp in the face. Kicked him out. You are old and unrefined, it's disgusting. Sure enough, for a guy like you, I shouldn't have invited you to film. Li Fan yelled at Garp. Chapter 19. Not far away, looking at Li Fan's figure, Nami gradually fell into deep thought. After seeing Li Fan's power just now, Nami is convinced that Li Fan has the strength to surpass the dragon pirates. Although the evil dragon, as a murloc, has great power. But with Li Fan that can create a world of swords, able to control the power of thousands of swords. Nami felt that the evil dragon was far worse. Maybe, I can invite Li Fan to Kakosia village. If I beg him, he might agree to deal with the dragon. At that time, even if the evil dragon does not follow the agreement, liberate Kakosia village. However, as long as Li Fan is willing to help, everyone in the village will surely be rescued. Nami, what are you thinking? Tashiji patted Nami who was thinking, Li Fan is asking you to go over and shoot. Oh, okay, okay. Nami responded immediately. Looking up, Nami saw Li Fan waving at her, and ran over quickly. If I can shoot a movie well, let Li Fan realize my acting skills. He will certainly be willing to help me. Or, I can ask him to help me on the condition of becoming his exclusive actor. With this in mind, Nami decided to shoot with a more professional spirit for the subsequent shots. Soon, Li Fan also discovered Nami's enthusiasm for filming. However, Li Fan didn't care too much, it's all because Nami played better. Soon, today's filming ended, and everyone returned to their rooms to rest. After Garp again invited Li Fan to join the marine to no avail, he set foot on his warship and headed towards Windmill Town, his hometown. After all, he only has so many vacations, and he doesn't want to spend all his time on Li Fan. Hey, Sengoku, it's me. On the warship, Garp called Sengoku. It's you, Garp, how's it going? Did you invite Li Fan to join the marine? In naval headquarters, Sengoku's calm voice reached Garp's ears. No, that guy is unwilling to join marine, saying that joining marine will delay his invitation to pirates to act. What? That guy wants to invite pirates to film. This guy, do you want to be a pirate? Sengoku frowned slightly. That guy has no intention of being a pirate, I can still see that. It's just that, with the status of marine, it's not suitable to invite pirates to act. That guy also told me that ordinary people invite pirates to act, and not breaking the law. By the way, Sengoku, you know the law. Does it say that ordinary people cannot deal with pirates? There is no strict and clear regulation on this point. If a director really invites a certain pirate to invite him to act, of course, it is not a crime if it is purely acting. That's right. I've already tested that guy, and he has clearly rejected it. So, now I have left Logue Town and dared to go in the direction of Windmill Town. What, you just gave up? Of course. Garp nodded, I've done what you told me, and the rest is your job. By the way, Sengoku. After a slight pause, Garp continued, this Li Fan is very powerful, not just as simple as a great swordsman. He can also create a world full of infinite swords, like the awakening of Devil Fruit. In my opinion, that guy's strength is no less than that of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. No, maybe, his strength can already be compared to Momuzagi and the T-Fish, the two Marine Admiral candidates. In the marshal's office, Sengoku tapped his fingers on the table unconsciously, analyzing what Garp said. If it's what you said, then this guy's strength is indeed worthy of attention. Since you have left Logue Town, I won't force you to go back. After that, I will communicate with Smoker and let him continue to report the matter about Li Fan to me. After hanging up the phone, Sengoku stood up and looked out the window. The strength is comparable to Momuzagi, he is suspected to be a Devil Fruit Awakener, a great swordsman. East Blue is really a great place. Although it is rated as the weakest sea, every once in a while, a great big shot will appear. It would be a pity that such a talent would not join Marine. At least, don't let this guy become a pirate. After making up his mind, Sengoku picked up the phone and dialed the number to Logue Town Smoker. Chapter 20. Soon, 3 days passed. On this day, Li Fan stood on the stage that had been built, looking excitedly at Tashiji and others in the audience. After many days, our movie is finally finished. Be happy, everyone, the movie is over. Afterwards, when I complete the post-production, the film that everyone has worked so hard on will be officially released. I won't make you wait long. You just need to get a good night's sleep tonight, and you can watch this movie tomorrow. As for now, let's cheer and celebrate. I invited the best chef in Logue Town to cook food for everyone, please don't be polite. Of course, the salary issue that everyone is most concerned about, after the official premiere of the movie tomorrow, everyone can come to me to collect it. Hearing Li Fan's words, all the staff and actors cheered. Congratulations to myself for being a part of an extremely good film, and congratulations to myself for earning ample money. As plates of delicious dishes were served by the waiter, the staff began to chat with familiar friends. They are all looking forward to tomorrow's premiere, where they can see their excellent pictures. Li Fan poured himself a glass of champagne, took a sip, and was very happy to see everyone happy. After shooting each shot, the system quickly completed the post-processing. Li Fan could even do the premiere right now if he wanted to. However, in order not to be too exaggerated, and at the same time let the actors and crew who have been busy with him for so long celebrate, he decided to wait until the release tomorrow. It took so little time to shoot a movie, perhaps, I am a genius director. Even though he thinks this way, Li Fan also understands that it has something to do with the actors' acting skills and physical fitness. If it weren't for their generally good bodies, ability to perform difficult movements, and good enough acting skills, even Li Fan's solid directing skills and the shooting tools provided by the system, he would not be able to do so. Now let the movie wrap up. Li Fan, can we talk? Suddenly, Nami's voice rang in Li Fan's ear. Li Fan turned his head and looked at Nami beside him. At the moment, Nami has removed her wig, but still wears Li Fan's custom-made costume. Li Fan has to admit that Nami wearing Tosaka Rin's costume really has a unique taste. Those slender and white legs are the real existence that can make men play with their legs. What's the matter, Nami, what's the matter? Could it be that you want to take your reward now? Nami shook her head. That's not the case, I have other things. Li Fan, when you are free later, can you go back to my village with me? To your village? Li Fan tilted his head. That's right. Nami cried, and then, Nami told Li Fan in detail about the dragon pirates' invasion of Kokozia village. So it's like this, you want me to help you kill those guys from the dragon pirates first, right? Li Fan nodded, okay, I promise you. Li Fan, I promise you, as long as you help me, I can sign a contract with you and become your queen actor. Wait, what did you say? You agreed. Nami widened his eyes, surprised look at Li Fan. Of course, since you have become my actor, that is also our fate, isn't it? Li Fan smiled, facing the existence of actors who bully me, of course I have to ask them for advice. Speaking of which, Murloc, I haven't seen it in a real sense yet. By the way, this is a contract, sign it. As he spoke, Li Fan took out a piece of paper from the side, wrote some regulations on it, and handed it to Nami. Contract. Didn't you say you want to be my queen actor, Nami? You've already said that, then let's sign a contract. Li Fan patted Nami on the shoulder. The contract period is tentatively set at 10 years. During this period, you are my regular employee and need to film the roles I prepared for you. Of course, you don't have to worry about remuneration. I won't skimp on actors' remuneration. Nami took the pen handed to her by Li Fan in a daze, and after reading the content of the contract, she signed her name without hesitation. Then, happy cooperation, Ms. Nami. Li Fan reached out and shook Nami's hand. After the movie is released in Logue Town for a while, I will go back to your Kakosia village with you. Of course, with me here, you don't have to hand over your hard-earned money to those pirates. I'll get rid of them. As he spoke, Li Fan gave Nami a thumbs up, with a very confident smile on his face. Thank you, Li Fan. Nami hugged Li Fan excitedly, and at the same time her face was getting closer and closer to Li Fan's. Just when Li Fan thought he could feel Nami's rosy lips, Nami let go of Li Fan as if thinking of something. By the way, Li Fan, I have a sister, Nyoki Jo, why don't I recommend her to come to you to act? Believe me, her acting skills are also very good. Of course, I believe you will not be stingy with paying her salary. Oh. Seeing Nami whose eyes turned into berry shapes, Li Fan nodded in a daze. I said, Nami, you are not making enough money alone, and you still want to bring your family to come together. I'm panning for gold here. He, who told the director that you pay a high salary? Nami smiled, it's much more cost-effective than stealing other people's money. Let alone whether the money can be higher than the price Li Fan offered to steal the pirate's treasure, the danger alone makes Nami more willing to choose to be Li Fan's actor. Stealing other people's money? Nami, are you a thief? Suddenly, Tashiji's voice came from behind Nami. Immediately, Nami's body stiffened. Although Tashiji is an actor of the same crew, Nami has not forgotten that Tashiji is also a marine. As a thief, she happened to be within the scope of Marine's handling. Tashiji, Nami, let's not talk about anything else, let's have a good drink. Li Fan on the side handed 2 glasses of champagne to Nami and Tashiji. Today, everyone should have fun. Chapter 21. Logue Town does not have a dedicated movie theater, but this is no problem for Li Fan, who has a huge fortune of 100 million berry. As early as the filming of the script of Fate Stay Night, Li Fan had spent part of the money and hired a group of workers to build a relatively simple open-air cinema in an abandoned lot. Although Li Fan intends to build a luxurious movie theater, but due to lack of time, he had to give up this idea temporarily. Although it is a simple movie theater, from the outside, it looks like a playground surrounded by a huge wall. But inside, it is well equipped with everything that one expects to find. On the second day after the wrap-up banquet, Li Fan brought all the cast and crew to the unnamed movie theater. When they walked into the movie theater, except for Li Fan's special seat reserved for himself to wait for others, the other seats were already full of people. They are all residents of Logue Town, or businessmen who come to Logue Town to do business. The residents of Logue Town basically know about Li Fan's filming. In addition to being Logue Town's garrison Colonel Smoker and Sergeant Tashiji's reasons for participating in this movie, the wonderful scenes such as the magic circle that appeared from time to time at the filming scene were also the reasons that attracted the residents of Logue Town. Coupled with yesterday's publicity, people who are interested in this movie have already bought tickets to watch the movie. Not only the current one, but even the tickets for the 13 games have already been booked. The reason why tickets for 13 shows will be sold is also because the capacity of the cinema can only accommodate 2,000 spectators. Although the cinema must not be considered small, after all, the entire abandoned coast was taken over by Li Fan. However, for a log town with a population of more than 20,000 people, it is simply impossible to sit down. A lot of people, are you expecting this movie so much? Tashiji said with a look of surprise as he sat down in his seat. Hehe, Tashiji is also the reason for this. Li Fan laughed. However, the first round will be full. I didn't expect that. I thought it would take at least the second game to reach this level. It seems that I underestimated everyone's enthusiasm for the new thing of movies. Well, Director Li Fan, how much does one of your tickets cost? At this moment, Nami asked next to Li Fan as if thinking of something. For a ticket, my price is 1,000 berry. 1,000 berry, a movie can accommodate 2,000 people to watch at a time, that is, one screening can earn 2 million berry. Now 13 movie tickets have been sold out, that is to say, I earned more than 20 million berry. Nami looked at Li Fan with bright eyes and said. It's only more than 20 million berry, Nami, don't forget, the reward I just paid you is 10 million. In that case, why don't you set the price a little higher? Smoker asked. At this moment, because Li Fan stipulated that smoking is not allowed in the cinema, Smoker did not light his cigar at this moment. If the price is too high, some people who are living in poverty may not choose to watch movies. Li Fan shrugged, I hope that my works, no, everyone's works, can have many people can enjoy it in the cinema. Li Fan's film and television equipment is obtained from the system, which can be said to be far beyond the technology of this era. Even if there are 2,000 people in the cinema, the surrounding large screen will not affect the viewing experience at all. So, watching this movie at the cinema will be a complete treat. Also, if the price is too high and the number of people is too small, I won't get enough box office points. Li Fan thought to himself. An audience can give Li Fan a box office point, and the box office point will directly affect Li Fan's subsequent purchase of scripts and props from the system. If Li Fan does not get enough system points for the first movie within the release time stipulated by the system, Li Fan may not even be able to purchase the next script. And this also means that Li Fan will no longer be able to obtain anything from the system. Li Fan doesn't want this. Although Li Fan is still in the novice task stage and cannot see how many box office points are needed to purchase subsequent scripts, Li Fan feels that he should be able to earn enough money to buy the next script. At the very least, scripts with a bronze level can be purchased. After all, to complete the mission of the Fate Stay Night script, only 10,000 box office points are needed. Now that the 13-day ticket has been pre-granted, it means that Li Fan has completed the task of the system. At this moment, Li Fan is already looking forward to the day when the system will reward him after completing the task. Soon, the time fixed at 9 a.m., and the figure of Emi Yashiro played by Li Fan appeared on the huge screen. The movie begins. Chapter 22. As time passed slowly, the time came to the afternoon. The premiere of Fate Stay Night ended perfectly. Whether it is Li Fan, who participated in the performance, or ordinary audiences, they are completely immersed in the magnificent movie screen. Until the end of the movie, people still can't recover for a long time. Excellent movie, isn't it, folks? Li Fan looked at Tashiji and the others beside him, and said with a smile on his face. Yeah, Li Fan, I never thought that I would become an actor one day. Tashiji laughed. He's an excellent actor. Li Fan stood up and patted Tashiji on the shoulder. Okay, everyone, the movie is over, it's time for us to leave. Afterwards, there will be another show in the afternoon. By then, there will be other audiences coming to watch. Hearing Li Fan's voice, everyone slowly got up and walked out of the cinema. People who have watched the movie, after leaving the movie theater, began to discuss the plot of the movie intensely with the people around them. Either admire the nobleness of the Night King Artoria Pendragon, or admire the justice of Emi Yashiro. People expressed their opinions around their favorite characters, and the passionate scene made those who haven't watched the movie even more curious about the movie. Of course, they didn't discuss it with people who had already seen the movie, or ask about it. After all, no one wants to be spoiled before watching it. Hey, Lee Fan, what do you think of a protagonist like Emi Yashiro? After leaving the cinema, Smoker couldn't wait to light a cigar for himself. How? Lee Fan gave Smoker a strange look. You want to ask, how is his concept of justice? Smoker nodded. How should I put it? Lee Fan rubbed his chin. I admire his sense of justice, but I will not become him. I don't know, how about this evaluation? Smoker, who doesn't fully know the life of Emi Yashiro, doesn't know what the final outcome of Emi Yashiro is. But for Lee Fan, who knew all this, he didn't want to end up as the hero Emi Yashiro. Besides, it's too tiring to save people everywhere, and it doesn't fit my personality. If something injustice happened in front of me, I can help, but if you are running around the world to help, please forgive me. Lee Fan waved his hand and said. To Lee Fan's statement, Nami and Karis, who knew Shiro Emiya's ending, nodded in agreement. It seems that it is very difficult for you to become a Marine, Lee Fan. Smoker said. Didn't I reject you at the beginning? Lee Fan shook his head. Okay, the movie is over, let's go have a meal together. 3 days later, in Lee Fan's mind, the system that had been silent for a long time made a voice that excited Lee Fan. Ding! Congratulations to host for winning 10,000 box office points, and the bronze script Fata Stay Night has reached the scoring standard. The best actor is Lee Fan, and the character is heroic Emi Yashiro. Congratulations to host for getting the character template heroic Emi Yashiro. Because the best actor is host, the host can get one more award. Congratulations to host for completing the initial task. The probability of host getting excellent items in this lottery has been increased by 100%. Now, Great Director System is officially open. Following the words of the system, messages flashed in Lee Fan's mind. So that's it. Are the scripts divided into 3 levels? Bronze script, silver script, and the most advanced gold script? It's really easy to understand the classification. Bronze script, the system does not provide any props that exist in the script, but provides shooting tools and film post-production. The scoring difficulty is average, and the probability of obtaining advanced abilities is low. For silver scripts, during the shooting period, the system provides a certain number of props in the protagonist's play, shooting tools, and post-production. The scoring is difficult, and the probability of obtaining advanced abilities is medium. Golden script, the system provides special props. During the shooting, the protagonist can use any character's abilities and items in the play. The actor's character can be temporarily given special abilities. There is a high probability of obtaining advanced abilities in the script. To reach a qualified box office point, the bronze script needs 10,000 Piao Feng points, the silver script needs 1 million box office points, and the yellow scarf script needs 10 million box office points. The script, the system refreshes randomly, 3 at a time. Lee Fan can only choose to buy 1 to shoot. To buy a bronze script, you need 20,000 box office points, 2 million for a silver script, and 20 million for a gold script. At the same time, box office points can also be used to purchase props in the script to be filmed. At the same time, Lee Fan also knows that if he shoots a certain script, Lee Fan can freely choose to shoot the scripts in the same series as the script, even if there are no scripts in the series randomly refreshed by the system. Script. However, this method of purchase requires 3 times the price to purchase. It takes 20,000 box office points to buy a bronze script. Lee Fan thought in surprise. Fortunately, in Logue Town, you can collect 20,000 points, otherwise, you can't buy the bronze script. The current scripts are bronze level Demon Slayer, Blade, 1, silver level Fate 0 and gold level Hokage Ninja, 1. In this way, after that, I can only choose Demon Slayer, Blade, 1. Maybe, in the future, I should find a country with a relatively large population to broadcast movies. Chapter 23. Host can now make 2 draws from the Fata Stay Night script. Excuse me, is the host doing a lottery now? Certainly. Li Fan stood up directly from the bed. I can get 100% good items this time. I don't know what excellent items you will bring me from the system. With Li Fan's thoughts, a panel appeared in front of him. There are various items and abilities in the Fata Stay Night scenario on the panel. 2 blinking cursors moved freely on the panel, and in the corner of the panel, there was a button labeled Stop. Are you going to tell me to press Stop? Li Fan lowered his head in thought. Wait, what is this? Suddenly, Li Fan's eyes were caught by some rewards on the panel. Servant Knight King, Servant Hero King, Servant Kojiro Sasaki. Are these servants considered rewards? Could it be that I can still summon servants to this world? Ding! Servants, included in the advanced rewards. Is that right? Should it be said that it is a system, it has such an ability? The corner of Li Fan's mouth curled up unconsciously. If you can summon servants, it would be a good choice. The premise is that you don't summon any difficult beings to get along with. Li Fan's eyes couldn't help but stop at the words King of Heroes. Shaking his head, Li Fan raised his hand and tapped heavily on the stop button. Soon, the moving cursor stopped. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting the Kojiro Sasaki template. Ding! Congratulations to host for obtaining the servant rider Medusa. Just as the sound of the system ended in Li Fan's mind, a blue-white light suddenly burst out in his room. In the corner of the room, a pentagram magic circle suddenly appeared. Under the shining light, a tall and plump beautiful woman with knee-length purple hair, a snake logo on her forehead, and an eye patch appeared in front of Li Fan. Did you summon me? Medusa raised her head slightly, as if she was sizing up Li Fan. What a good person, if you want to be a sacrifice, you can do whatever you want. Well, hello, Rider. Li Fan quickly got off the bed and walked in front of Medusa. Anyway, it's nice to meet you, and I hope we can get along well in the future. Saying that, Li Fan smiled and stretched out his right hand to Medusa. Shake hands. Medusa looked at Li Fan's outstretched hand. Is this really okay? Facing an existence like me, you'd better be on guard, Master. Even if you say that, I hope we can get along well. Li Fan said with a smile. Strange man, since you are not afraid of death, you can do as you wish. Medusa stretched out her hand and gently held Li Fan together. I hope that one day you will not regret calling me. I believe that this day will never come. By the way, Rider, it just so happens that it's not too late. Why don't I take you out for a stroll? Just in time, I can also buy some books for you. You know that I like reading. Well, to a certain extent, I know you better. Li Fan touched his face. Actually, I made a movie before, and you existed in it. By the way, although today's movie has finished playing. But wait a minute, I'll take you to see it alone. Is it about my movie? Medusa frowned. Although she was a little puzzled, she still followed Li Fan's footsteps. When Li Fan opened the door of the room and walked out of the room with Medusa, he happened to run into Alice, who played the role of Rider before. Beside her, Tashiji stood quietly. Seeing Medusa next to Li Fan, Alice and Tashiji were obviously taken aback. Medusa was also a little astonished when she saw Alice wearing the same costume as herself. Yo, good evening, Alice, Tashiji, what are you talking about? Li Fan